How good is Warren Soultrader? Is it infinite-ish combo piece in Modern? That's what we're going to find out today. So here is our Warren Soultrader combo deck for Modern, and I'm pretty excited for this one, because as soon as Warren Soultrader was released, it was pretty clear that it had some ridiculous combo potential. So if you don't know Warren Soultrader, 3 mana 3/3, pay a life, sack another creature, make a treasure token, also a zombie, goblin, wizard. Wizards went super deep with the creature types on this one. So how do you go infinite? Well, we don't really go infinite because we're limited by our life total, but infinite enough to kill your opponent with Warren Soultrader. The easy answer is Gravecrawler. So Gravecrawler, this 1-drop zombie that we can cast from our graveyard as long as we control a zombie, like Warren Soultrader. So you probably see where this is going. If we have both of these cards, we can sack the Gravecrawler to the Soultrader, we'll lose a life, we'll make a treasure, and then we can just use the treasure to recast the Gravecrawler, and we do this as many times as we want until we run out of life. By itself, this combo doesn't really do anything except lose us life, but if we add another piece to the mix, like Marionette Apprentice or Chatterfang, then we can go infinite and kill our opponent. So Marionette Apprentice, a 2-drop that whenever a creature or artifact we control goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. So go back to the same loop, with Gravecrawler being sacked to Soultrader and then recast and again and again and again. Every time we go through that loop, if we have Marionette Apprentice out, our opponent's going to lose 2 life, 1 for Gravecrawler going to the graveyard, and then 1 for the treasure token from Soultrader that we sacked to recast Gravecrawler going to the graveyard. I know, treasures, tokens, kind of weird, but technically by the rules of Magic, they go to the graveyard for a second and then they disappear. So they do trigger Marionette Apprentice, even though it isn't always apparent the way people play with them. The other way that we can go infinite is Chatterfang. So Chatterfang, if we make a token, we make those tokens plus a squirrel token. If we add this to the Gravecrawler mix, every time we make the treasure from the loop with Gravecrawler and Warren Soultrader, we also get a squirrel. So we can use this to make infinite squirrels. Not really infinite because we'll run out of life, but like 10 or 15 squirrels and use those to kill our opponent. Or we can make 10 or 15 squirrels and then sack those to make even more mana with Soultrader and use them to like cast a Marionette Apprentice from our hand or Chthonian Nightmare a bunch of times to set up the combo loop. So that's the main combo of the deck. The challenge of the combo is we do need like 3-ish pieces to actually combo off. Although like Gravecrawler can be in the graveyard, so it's not quite as bad as it looks. So our plan for finding combo pieces is actually just grab them from the graveyard with Chthonian Nightmare. So Chthonian Nightmare is our new recurring nightmare, but with energy mixed in. Essentially, once we get it going, we can sack a creature, bounce it back to our hand, reanimate a creature. The energy cost doesn't really matter because all the creatures in our deck are 1 to 3 mana anyway, so we can actually use it just like a real recurring nightmare, essentially. So this is a way that we can like stitch your supplier, mill over our combo pieces, and get them back from our graveyard. Or maybe we play a Warren Soultrader and our opponent kills it because it's a scary card, then we can sack a Gravecrawler, get it back, recast the Gravecrawler from our graveyard. So it not only helps us find our combo pieces, but also makes the combo more resilient. The other nice support piece is Agatha's Soul Cauldron, which essentially lets us exile a creature from the graveyard, put a counter on something, and then gives all of our creatures with a counter the activated abilities of the cards exiled. So essentially, let's say our Warren Soultrader goes to the graveyard, we can exile it with Soul Cauldron, put a counter on whatever, Gravecrawler, Marionette Master, doesn't even matter, and then the Gravecrawler or the Marionette Master is going to have Warren Soultrader's ability. So it's another way we can kind of backdoor into the combo. If our opponent manages to deal with our Soultrader, or if we mill over our Soultrader, we can just exile it to Agatha's Soul Cauldron and combo off without even ever drawing the Warren Soultrader. Our backup plan is just to make really big White of the Reliquaries and Fiend Artisans. These are 2-drops. They get +1/+1 for each creature in our graveyard, and since our deck's so focused on sacrificing and self-milling, it's pretty easy for, in the mid-game, these creatures to be like 2 mana 8/8s, 2 mana 10/10s, so sometimes we just play them and beat our opponent down. Fiend Artisan can also help us tutor up our combo pieces. White of the Reliquary, really synergistic with Bloodghast, another creature that likes being in the graveyard. Whenever we make a land drop, Bloodghast returns to play, so what we can do is use White of the Reliquary to sack the Bloodghast, tutor out a land, any land, a non-basic land even, with White of the Reliquary. Then when the land ETBs, Bloodghast is going to come back into play anyway, plus Bloodghast is just kind of a strong card in some scenarios. It gets haste once our opponent gets to 10 or less life. So there's some games where we like try to combo and do our thing and get in for some damage. Eventually our opponent deals with our board, and then the Bloodghast just come back from the graveyard to wipe our opponent out. Otherwise, Carrion Feeder for a backup sack outlet, a couple of Grist for value, Orcish Bowmasters because it's busted. In the mana base, we get a bunch of utility lands, Phyrexian Tower, Colony Garden, Besage that we can find with our White of the Reliquary, but the big one here is actually Spymaster's Vault. So Spymaster's Vault, this is actually another way we can find our combo pieces. So we can pay 1, tap it, and make target creature we control connive X, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. So the idea here is, let's say we have Gravecrawler and Warren Soultrader, but we're missing like the Marionette Master or the Chatterfang to actually go fully infinite and close out the game. We can do the Gravecrawler loop, sack it a bunch of times, and then use Spymaster's Vault to connive a bunch of times, to dig through our deck, to find the Marionette Apprentice, to find the Chthonian Nightmare, whatever the missing piece is to close out the game. As far as the sideboard, some creature removal, some artifact enchantment removal, some graveyard hate, a couple of targeted hate pieces, and that is Soultrader combo for Modern. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into a Modern League and see how realistic is it to go infinite-ish with Warren Soultrader in Modern. How good is White of the Reliquary and Marionette Apprentice and New Grist? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. We are trying to combo off with Warren Soultrader, and if we had one more land, I don't think we can keep this. It's too risky, especially in the play. We got a mulligan. Well, this hand is not as exciting, but I guess we try it. I don't want to go to 5. That seems bad. I mean, we can't get a Surveil land. We're not playing anything this turn anyway. Marsh Flats, go. We need to, we need to get some stuff in the graveyard for the Nightmare opponent. Scalding Dart and crack Scalding Dart. Oh no, not Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize are Bloodghast opponent. Take the Bloodghast, take the Bloodghast. Not the Nightmare, take the Bloodghast. Interesting, takes a Soul Cauldron. I was actually not expecting that. I was expecting them to take the Nightmare, but I guess Soul Cauldron has been around longer, so maybe people have a bigger fear of it. Oh, Grist. All right. I think do we keep it or mill it? I think we keep it on top. Play the Swamp and get down the Nightmare. Pass the turn. So in theory, Grist is like perfect here if we can resolve it, because we can Grist, take up mill cards, make a token that we can then sack to the Nightmare to hopefully get something else back from the graveyard. That's idea anyway. I assume our opponent's playing counter spells. Tell you about it. Going to pass. Well, let's see if we can resolve this Grist. We draw Chatterfang. Well, play the land. We got to go for it. Come on. No Spell Pierces, no counters. I guess you can't Spell Pierce Grist, can you? You can Strix's Serenade it. Ooh, resolves. Well, take up Grist. Mill some cards. It's a Chatterfang. Well, I think I would rather have a Chatterfang. Actually, do we want the Chatterfang over the Insect? Probably. Or do we just leave the Nightmare for next turn so we don't get Thoughtseized or countered? You know what, I think we actually just pass. Let's pass the turn. I think this is safest, because we know our opponent's got counters in discard, so bouncing the Nightmare back to our hand here might be awkward. Gonna kill the Insect? Okay, sure. Gonna make a clue with the Tamiyo? Sure. We kind of have a shot-ish. Found it. MDFC. Down at 9, my god. Ooh, Gravecrawler is actually pretty nice here. Take up the Grist. This also makes our Bloodghast hasty since our opponent MDFC'd themselves. We mill a Soul Cauldron. Well, we will play Bloodghast. Hit you down to 7. Yeah, our opponent has kind of MDFC'd themselves into oblivion here. Play the Gravecrawler. I think we get back to Chatterfang now, sacking the Insect. They got to deal with a Planeswalker and a pretty reasonable board of creatures. Cracks the clue. Sure, that's fine. We'll deal with clue cracking all day. They could have another Fatal Push. All right, Fatal Push is the Chatterfang. Yep. Come on, MDFC. Untapped. Down to 4. You can do it. You can do it about it. No fear. Don't fear the Reaper. Oh, good old MDFCs. Found it. Getting in. Wow. Okay, so they must have a plan here, or else they're risking potential death. Found it. Polluted Delta. Oh, it's a swamp because of our Urborg. That's awkward. Opponent gonna pass. We draw a Fiend Artisan. Down to 3. So Grist is only 1 here. Take up Grist, make an insect. Mill a Gravecrawler. Cast the Gravecrawler from the graveyard. And opponent scoops it up, taking down the control deck. Actually, our opponent might have done most of that to themselves with MDFCs, but still, we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, so opponent, Dimir Control, I guess I would consider this deck. What do we want against Dimir Control? I could see Surgicals being relevant. I wonder if there's a deck list. Is there a Dimir Tamiyo deck? I'm guessing it's just like Dimir midrange, maybe? That doesn't look like the deck. It might be something like this. I could see that. One rings, Tamiyos, frogs, bunch of counters, bunch of removal. We saw Thoughtseize though, and a bunch of MDFCs. I don't even know. So pick your poison, I think, is probably worth it. It can snipe Tamiyo. They probably are playing the One Ring because everyone's playing the One Ring. I don't know if we care that much about Surgical. What are we cutting is the other question. Maybe we go down like 1 Carrion Feeder. Maybe 1 Grist? Let's try it like that. Well, game 1 went pretty well. We didn't actually combo, but Gravecrawler beatdowns. The Bloodcasts are kind of good. We would rather get them for free than have to cast them. The hand's not explosive. I think we mulligan it. Ooh, okay, this hand's kind of sweet. This will keep. Soul Cauldron to the bottom. All right, well, turn 1 Stitcher Supplier, maybe, if we don't get Thoughtseize too much. Pound it. Tamiyo. So turn 1 Stitcher Supplier. Opponent gonna crack the Bobble, take a peek. Bobble's not the best for flipping Tamiyo, at least if you do it right away. It cycles the street. Wow! Okay. All right, we might actually be dead. Opponent found a way to turn 1 flip a Tamiyo with double Street Wraith. And okay, so opponent's actually just like Tamiyo combo. Why did they not flip Tamiyo? I'm so confused. Didn't they draw 3 cards? Wait. Oh, because they were on the play. Oh, no. No. Oh, I think our opponent might have punted. Oh, they were on the play, so they didn't draw for the turn. If our opponent just waited until our turn, when they drew from the Bobble, they could double cycle and flip the Tamiyo. I don't know. Maybe that was their plan. Maybe that was their plan all along. Well, we will play an Urborg and a Stitcher Supplier. Well, I think it's pretty clear what our opponent's doing. They are a Tamiyo deck. They are a full-on Tamiyo deck. If you're playing Street Wraiths and Bobbles, they might have Death Shadows. I could see Death Shadow. If you're playing Street Wraith, man, that art on Street Wraith, so good. There's the Thoughtseize. Well, I imagine they take the White of the Reliquary because we can cast it, but if they do, that leaves us with a pretty sweet little combo hand once we get land number 3. Found it. Takes the White of the Reliquary, Watery Grave, untap down to 10, and Death Shadow. All right, so that makes sense. That makes sense. Hits us. Gets a clue. Sure. We don't really have much removal, which is awkward. It's not like we can just kill this Death Shadow easily. Well, Overgrown Tomb tapped, unfortunately. I mean, in theory, we could kill it with the Grist, although in practice, counter spells are an issue. Opponent gonna crack the Bobble. So they're gonna set up to flip Tamiyo during their turn, most likely, but they are going to have to spend mana on the clue, unless they have another card draw spell. Okay, so they're like Dimir Death Shadow with Tamiyo. Attacks. I mean, we're gonna take the beats. Opponent makes another clue. Opponent consistently making clues is not great for us. Ooh, all right. Cheaper card draw spell to flip the Tamiyo. Preordain. Well, can we resolve the Grist? It would be very good. I don't know how likely it is. Opponent flips the Tamiyo. And ticks up the Tamiyo. And Polluted Delta. And cracks Polluted Delta down to 9 for an island. Murktide Regent. So that's also pretty bad. Okay, things are getting worse. Things are getting worse. We draw Bloodghast. Would have rather had that one go to the graveyard. So, opponent has 2 cards, a huge Death Shadow, a Tamiyo that currently can't get back anything. I think our most realistic hope here is to combo. I'm not feeling super confident, at all, but run out the Soultrader. Pass the turn. We really need our opponent to not have any interaction this turn. Watery Grave. If we can resolve the Chatterfang, maybe there's hope. Murktide is a biggin. Opponent, combat, attacks. Well, we will block with the Stitcher Supplier. Sack it to make a treasure. Mill some cards. Well, we hit a Gravecrawler. Opponent cracks a clue, draws a card. I don't even know if we can combo. Opponent takes up Tamiyo. Passes. We draw. Marsh Flats. Okay, so we don't have the win because we don't have anything to go with the Gravecrawler. If our opponent has a counter, we're kind of out of luck. So 1-2, play the Bloodghast. We sack the Bloodghast to make a treasure. We play Marsh Flats to get back the Bloodghast. 1, 2, 3. Chatterfang. Oh, and they have a counter. Oh, yeah, that does it. All right. Tamiyo, flipping early, kind of an issue. So maybe we need the fatal. Yeah, I guess we need the fatal pushes. And maybe the flares if we can find room. What do we take out is the question. How do we find room for all these cards? We have so many combo pieces, it's hard to cut too much. So what is realistically cuttable? Gravecrawler, Stitcher Spire, Soultrader, Chatterfang, Nightmares, Marionette Apprentice. Oh, man. I guess, like, Fiend Artisan, maybe? Soul Cauldron, I guess, we can use on our opponent's graveyard, which is relevant. Do we go down both Grists? Flipping a Grist would be nice. We are on the play this game, which is somewhat helpful. Maybe we gotta go down, like, one Chatterfang, one Soul Cauldron. Do we go down the Grist? All right, let's go down the other Grist. Let's try it like that. Well, we're on the play, which is hopefully good. Well, I mean, I guess we'll keep. Bloodghast, Weight of the Reliquary is a combo, or at least a synergy, and Pick Your Poison can get rid of a Tamiyo. Bloodghast is a card, though, that we'd much rather have in our deck and just, like, mill with Stitcher's Supplier, ideally. And Tamiyo. Well, let's crack the Marsh Flats, grab a Underground Mortuary. I think Grist has got to go Graveyard, sadly. Graveyard the Grist. Play the land. I don't really want to spend the entire turn killing a Tamiyo if we can help it. I would rather get down the White of the Reliquary. I think we do. Let's play White of the Reliquary. Pass the turn. It's so good with these Bloodghasts if we can get it going. Opponent. Gonna go to combat. Gonna make a clue. Sure. Down to 19. At least Tamiyo doesn't deal any damage. That's something. Opponent. Preordain. Okay. They might be digging for a land. I mean, if we could start doing the Bloodghast White of the Reliquary thing, that'd be sweet. Opponent. Cycle Street Wraith. Oh, they're going to flip the Tamiyo. Okay, sure. Both to the bottom. Flips the Tamiyo. Takes up the Tamiyo. Has the Polluted Delta. Wow. After all this, they're going to flip Tamiyo and Fatal Push? That's so brutal. Oh, Nethergoyf. I mean, that's still pretty brutal, but opponent passes. We draw a Spymaster's Vault. Play the Bloodghast. Go to combat. Oh, we can't really attack, can we? -1, -0. So we can't attack through the Goyf. All right, so we got to pass. Sack the Bloodghast. Colney Garden. Get back the Bloodghast. Make a token. Play the Vault. And pass the turn. All right, opponent. They are untapping with the Tamiyo. Opponent, swamp. Wow, Toxic Deluge! Although this does put our opponent down to 10. Wow, they're all in on trying to keep this Tamiyo ultimate going. We draw White of the Reliquary. Oh, they're going to ultimate Tamiyo and we're going to lose. That was a blowout. So we'll play a White of the Reliquary. White of the Reliquary. And we'll pass the turn and pray for a miracle of some kind. Opponent untaps. If Tamiyo ultimates, the game ends. Like, I know it doesn't say win the game, but if it ultimates, the game does end. But I'm not sure we can stop it. This Nethergoyf is gumming up the ground. Actually, really, that Toxic Deluge. We were set up to deal with it, or at least keep it from ultimating. But that Toxic Deluge, brutality, especially since I got to keep, that's like the case study of Toxic Deluge being good in Modern. Like 3 mana, wipe our board, and you keep your creature around. That's the dream scenario of Toxic Deluge. Like that's why the card can be good. Opponent, Watergrave untapped. 4 cards in hand, Clue at the ready, Tamiyo also at the ready. Opponent gonna tick down the Tamiyo. All right, so opponent's just gonna keep wrathing apparently. The funny thing about this is these Bloodghast might be a problem for our opponent. Death's Shadow. Land? Ooh, Flare of Malice. We're like 1 point of damage off. Play the Bloodghast. Play Marionette Apprentice. Make a Servo. Flare of Malice. Sack the Bloodghast. Drain ya. Opponent. They can sack the Tamiyo here. Yeah, they sack the Tamiyo, we pass the turd. We need a land. We have 2 Bloodghasts in the graveyard that are very lethal. We just need a land to get them back. That is the only thing we're missing here about it. Throw a very fast Tamiyo flip too if we pull this off. That was a good one, Opponent. Preordained. I'm gonna go digging. Opponent, 2 to the bottom. This is where Toxic Deluge looking a little worse. Although I guess they could technically still, well, they couldn't kill the Apprentice, right? They could kill the Servo. Passing, land, Underground Mortuary, that is a land. Play the Mortuary, get a couple triggers. Bloodghast, and opponent scoops it up, and that kind of worked. Our opponent had a scary draw too, but we got there in the end. Okay, that was that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. We got Toxic Deluge twice, and our opponent actually got to keep a creature through one of them. But the power of Bloodghast. Why do we not play more Bloodghast? It's always cool when you see a card that was printed like 15 years ago and is still the best at its job, and that's what Bloodghast is. Well, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Not super combo-y, but we got there. Sweet. So we Stitcher Supplier. We have a Fiend Artist. Yeah, I guess we'll try it. We don't have a Nightmare, but it's not like we can just mulligan until we have a Nightmare, I don't think. I think we gotta hope that we can draw into one. Eldrazi. Okay. I don't know how this goes. Ugh. Eldrazi are scary. They could have Chalice of the Void, which is pretty good against us. So we can turn 1 Stitcher Supplier into Fiend Artisan. Turn this into something. Oh boy, Urza's Tower, opponent. All right, what did they exile? Chalice Wandering Karn, my god. Oh, that's Marsh Flats. Another land is not what we were hoping for. Really, we're hoping for a little bit more action. Oh, we don't have an answer to Tron either. Overground Tomb untapped, and Stitcher Supplier, get the millin'. Soul Cauldron, Land Bowmaster. Oh, the Soul Cauldron would have been okay. Although even that, Uggin's Labyrinth, yeah. The fact that our opponent exiled Karn Wandering Chalice makes me think they were desperate for lands. They got another Trinisphere. Oh, goodness. Well, that's not great. That's not great at all. Well, we'll get in with the Stitcher Supplier. I think we need to mill some Bloodghast to have a reasonable shot here. So in Phyrexian Tower, oh, this Trinisphere is brutal. Sack the Stitcher Supplier. This gives us enough mana to cast a Stitcher Supplier. Hooray. For 3 mana. Well, we milled a Bloodghast. Okay, that's something. Are they just gonna Tron too? Oh, this is so brutal. Opponent. Up to 4 mana, soon to be much more mana, thanks to Tron. Kozilek's Command. Oh no. Okay, that's also bad. Exiles our Stitcher Supplier, and not the Bloodghast, thankfully, but a couple of other cards in the graveyard. Well, let's play a Swamp, get back a Bloodghast, play a 3 mana White of the Reliquary. I mean, if our opponent doesn't hit Tron and just keeps doing nothing, maybe we can make this work. Like, this is a 4/4. It's going to grow. Fiend Artisan's also big. Oh, no, the daggers. Top deck's the missing Tron piece. And Ugin, and we will scoop it up. Oh, dear. What do we even have that's sort of good against this deck? Kind of nothing. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay, so we can bring in, like, the Force of Vigors, and maybe pick your poisons. Go down a Grief. Maybe like a Soul Cauldron, a Carrion Feeder. Try it like that. This might just be a really tough matchup. We might not be fast enough. We really need to just like high roll into Warren Soultrader combo. Oh, there's the Soul Cauldrons and the Nightmare. We just don't have any way to fill the graveyard. I mean, this we're gonna try. We can potentially combo turn 3. We got Gravecrawler, Marionette Apprentice, Warren Soultrader. Like, that is how you can go infinite with Gravecrawler and Soultrader. Infinite-ish. We will run out of life eventually, but, I mean, we're gonna keep one of the Gravecrawlers to the bottom. Well, pray for lands. Pray for lands. Opponent has the Devour, of course. Devour is so good. So good. Well, crack the Catacombs. Grab a Overgrown Tube untapped, and Gravecrawler. Go. All right, deck. Land into land. No interaction from our opponent. Easy, easy. Tron keeping 7 and having Devour is not good. That is really bad news for us. The odds of them having Tron are going to be very high. Well, we need to draw lands. Opponent, Urza's Power Plant and Expedition Map. Gonna get that Tron set up. Well, we can't snipe that if we don't draw land, but that's not a land. Well, target opponent, sacks an artifact. We really needed a land here, though, not a Fiend Artisan. I don't know, maybe there's a world where they really needed the Expedition Map. Get in, hit ya, down to 18. This is one of those decks, it's very synergistic, right? We're much more of a synergy deck than a raw tower. Much more of a synergy deck than a raw power deck. Land. Nightmare. Nightmare's great if we could cast it and had lands. Well, Stitcher Supplier, Mill, Bloodghast, and 2 lands. Well, get in, hit ya. Yeah, now I think we're going to be too slow, because our opponent, I would bet on them having Tron here, and they're going to start casting 7-drops. Forest, okay, that is better than a Tron land. Killing the Expedition Map did something. Land! We need a land! Okay, Phyrexian Tower, okay. So play Phyrexian Tower, get back to Bloodghast. We got to feed one more turn. Go to combat, get in, hit ya. Drops to 13, well, 1 and 2. We'll play a Marionette Apprentice. We will make a servo. Okay, this is it. Hold. If we get one more turn, we get to go infinite. Infinite enough, because we can. The Phyrexian Tower was the perfect land, because we can sack it to make 2 mana here. So we untap. Do we just attack first? When can they kill something with the Warren Soultrader trigger on the stack? Kozilek's Return would be an issue. Well, let's go to combat. We're gonna attack first. See if our opponent respawns. Opponent gonna take it. Drops to 6. Well, here goes nothing. So we will sack the Stitcher's Supplier. Actually, let's sack the Bloodghast first. Sack the Bloodghast. Soultrader. Hold. Sack the Gravecrawler. And opponent scoops it up. We got there. Okay. Not as smooth as we wanted because we were missing those land drops, but that's a combo. We actually did it. All we need, Gravecrawler, Marionette Apprentice, Warren, I know, all we need. But in theory, Fiend Artisan and Chthonian Nightmare help us find those pieces. Can we mill them and get them back? That actually went pretty well. 2 lands. We only needed 2 lands to actually win. We also managed to get very lucky with that Pick Your Poison. The fact that that actually kept our opponent off of Tron was kind of surprising, but we will take it. Let's bring in one more Pick Your Poison, and I think we're going to go down another Soul Cauldron, run out like that. I feel like the Soul Cauldron, our opponent should have Graveyard Hate. Like, we know they have Kozilek's Return, and they're probably playing Graveyard Hate. They can tutor up from their sideboard. Well, we get it anyway. We're going to keep. Shatterfang Soultrader is also kind of a combo. I think we Call Me Garden past the turn. So we Call Me Garden. Next turn we can Soul Cauldron. Ooh, double Eldrazi Temple. That's frightening. We draw Swamp. Well, let's thin the deck. Marsh Flats, crack it. Grab a Swamp and get down the Agatha Soul Cauldron. Not doing anything yet, but in the future, it could do things. We need our stuff to live, and we need a couple more turns of setup. So Chatterfang, Warren Soultrader, can make infinite-ish tokens. Infinite-ish treasure tokens, so infinite mana, but we don't have anything to do with it at the moment. Is this Kozilek's command? I'm gonna draw a card and make some spawns. A little worried about the amount of mana our opponent's putting together here. That is kind of an issue. All right, there's the Ugin's Labyrinth. That is so much mana. They can actually just play an Ugin here, can't they? If they play an Ugin, I don't know how we realistically can win. Ulamog. Boy, that deck makes a lot of mana. Opponent. Passing. Just kidding. Not passing. So what do we do here? What is our most realistic expedition map? Okay. What is our most realistic pathway to being able to win this game? We untap. We draw another swamp. Not helpful at all. Marsh flats. Crack it. We've drawn a lot of lands this game. Grab an Overgrown Tomb untapped. And I mean, I think we just play the Soultrader. The problem is Kozilek's Command exiles, as does Ugin. Actually, I think we just play Bloodghast. I think this is better. I think this lets us combo next turn. Well, like sort of combo. We can combo, we don't have a way to win the game, which is kind of an issue. But we can make infinite-ish treasures, like 15 treasures. Because what we can do is, we can play the Soultrader, sack the Bloodghast to get a treasure, and then land to get back the Bloodghast to make a treasure. All right, I take it back. None of those things matter. Bloodghast down. Yeah! And opponent gets to tutor up a land, and we know this Ulamog's coming. Yeah, I think we just flooded out a bit too much on this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So opponent has 10 mana. They could just have another Ulamog in hand, honestly. 8 mana, 9 mana, 10 mana, and it gotta be Ulamog, right? Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Gonna eat 2 of our lands. Yeah. I think that just does it, right? We don't have a way to kill this. We can't cast Soultrader next turn. White of the Reliquary. I'll play the land. Play the White of the Reliquary. Pass the turn. Man, Tron is scary when just like every land they play makes 2 mana now. I guess Tron, they got to work for it a little bit, but kind of insane how much mana Tron can make now that they have Ugin's Labyrinth. Opponent, gonna go to combat, exile half of our deck. The other problem here is we're getting so low on life that we can't really combo efficiently anyway. Opponent hits us down to 6. So if we try to combo, we're just going to run out of life. Probably not going to matter. Well, game 2 was sweet. Even though we missed our land drops, we did get to see the combo go off. But my God, Eldrazi feels like a super bad matchup for this deck. Opponent, 8 mana for Eldrazi and Devour. And yeah, that's good enough. Well, game 2. We will always have game 2. No Soultrader, but it looks pretty good, right? Stitcher Supplier, White of the Reliquary, got a Bowmasters for fun, and then Marionette Apprentice. If we can find, well, we still need a couple pieces to combo, I guess, but this hand seems reasonable for a fair-ish hand. Could use a Nightmare. Chthonian Nightmare would be really sweet. Stitcher Supplier. Millis, well, okay, a Nightmare that we kind of wanted to draw, but that's fine. And, oh, it's Mill. This is going to get interesting. Oh, that's a Soultrader. Well, Marsh Flats, we gotta crack it. We might be setting up for some archive trapping here. Overgrown Tube, untapped. The bad news for our opponent is unless they have Graveyard Hate, they're gonna be milling us into a really big White of the Reliquaries. So yes, fill our graveyard, opponent, please. Mill us into some Bloodghast if you could. We'd especially like some Bloodghast milled. Please and thank you, Hedron Crab. Archive Trap. Well, there's a Bloodghast and 2 Gravecrawlers. Can we combo off next turn? We can kind of combo off. Ruin Grab. Actually, can we? We might actually be able to do it. Oh! Surgical on the Bloodghast. Okay, that's worse. We still might be able to do it with the Gravecrawlers, though. I think we needed the Bloodghast, though, honestly. We need the Bloodghast for mana with the Soultrader. Yeah, that Surgical's kind of brutal. Although we do have a 10/10 White of the Reliquary. Wow, they don't even have another land? Oh god, okay, that's good news. We get to untap, we draw an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I feel like there's a way we can win here, but I'm not sure there is. Cast a Gravecrawler, play Soul Cauldron, exile the Soultrader, turn White of the Reliquary into a Soultrader. But we need to get down the Marionette Apprentice, right? I feel like we're just short on mana. Let's think about this. So we play the Spymaster's Vault. So it's 1/2 to play the Soul Cauldron. White of the Reliquary becomes a Soultrader. Oh wait, I think this does work if they don't have Surgical. So then we Soul Cauldron on the White of the Reliquary. Sack this, play Marionette Apprentice. Sack the Servo token. Okay, so play Soul Cauldron. Exile Warren Soultrader. Put a counter on the White of the Reliquary. Sack the Stitcher Supplier. Make a treasure. Mill some cards. Marionette Apprentice. Off the treasure, we fabricate the token, make a servo, sack the servo, make a mana, so we can cast the Gravecrawler. Opponent goes to 15. Cast the Gravecrawler. Drain ya, because we get to drain from the treasure too, right? So sack the Gravecrawler, Drain ya. That's the combo. That's the combo. Turn 3 combo kill. I mean, we did need our opponent to help us by filling our graveyard a little bit, but that is, I think, as fast as we can go infinite with this deck. Turn 3. I mean, when I say infinite, it is limited by our life total, but it's infinite enough that our opponent dies on the spot, which, I mean, that's the most important thing, right? Quite literally nothing that is good for mill. Fatal Push, I guess, is fine. The good news is our opponent is going to do a lot of our work for us by filling our graveyard. That's the upside. The downside is they're probably gonna have a bunch of graveyard hate, even on top of that surgical, I would imagine. We're gonna have 1 carrion feeder. I kind of want the Fiend Artisan just because. Let's go to 1 Chatterfang. Let's try it like that. The Fiend Artisan is just going to be big. Like, it scales like White of the Reliquary. So it should just be this massive threat, which seems like a way we could beat Mill is just like play a couple of those and attack. I mean, Soul Cauldron's really good. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just keep this because of the Soul Cauldron, really. Ruin Grab, sure. Play a Swamp, Stitcher Supplier. Help our opponent a little bit by filling our graveyard. Oh god. Oh, there goes our blood gas. You know they're gonna surgical those jerks. Oh, that was such a great mill pile, but too early because we don't have a land. Opponent untaps. Hedron Crab. Oh boy, there's gonna be some serious milling here. Opponent this time does have a land, mills us. They have a surgical. There was a delay. You could see the delay. Sometimes you can see these little tells on Magic Online or Magic Arena. You could tell our opponent clicked the surgical and was thinking they were going to surgical the blood gas, but then they're like, actually, it's better to wait and do it on your draw step in case you draw it, which is technically correct. Mills. Yeah, this might be rough. Okay, now they're gonna surgical. Okay, sure. That timing is weird to me, but yes, I mean, I guess they were afraid they were gonna mill more blood gas and it would make their mill slightly less powerful. Well, we'll see. Opponent's down to 3 cards in hand, but 2 crabs is a lot of milling on the battlefield, which is a concern. Opponent mills us. Yeah, and then also mills us and does a little milling of us. Passes. I mean, there's no avoiding this, unfortunately. If they have the Archive Trap, they have the Archive Trap. Verdant Catacombs, Overgrown Tomb untapped. And do we attack? I think we go to combat and attack. See if our opponent misblocks somehow. It's not impossible that they block with the Hedron Crab. Although, they probably just won't block at all, honestly. Opponent blocks with the Ruin Crab, sure. Well, it is Soul Cauldron time. And Soul Cauldron, exile Grist. Yeah, let's exile Grist. Turn our Stitcher Supplier into a Grist. Make an Insect. I mean, is there a chance we can go infinite next turn? Opponent. Wow, even more crabs. So many crabs. And a fetch. So they're milling. Oh boy. That is a lot of mill. 3, 6, 9, 18. Oh, we might just be dead. So we have to straight up win the game this turn. I'm not sure we can win the game this turn. Going for the Grist might have been a mistake. We might have needed to go for a combo piece. Opponent. Down to 14. Not a lot of cards left in the deck. Passes. I think we need to draw a combo piece. We draw even more Grists. How can we do this? Is there a way we can do this? So we can turn things into a Soultrader, but Marionette Apprentice is in the graveyard, so we don't have a payoff. Yeah, activate the Grist, I guess. Make an Insect. Is killing the crabs even realistic? It is a little unfortunate they had the triple crab draw. That is a lot of crabs that we couldn't kill. Crag the Marsh Flats. And they had the surgical for our blood gas. Grab the swamp. Play a Grist. Tick down. I feel like we're probably fighting a losing battle. Opponent is going to Fatal Push the Stitcher Supplier. Mill some cards. Oh, there goes our Marionette Apprentice. That's unfortunate. Well, sack an Insect. Kill a crab. Yeah, I think our opponent has this one. This is one of the fastest mill kills I've seen. The Field of Ruin. Yeah. All right. Well, triple crab. That is unfortunate for us. We're on the play for this game, which is good. We're on the play. Oh, we also had a very unfortunate Stitcher Supplier to mill those blood gas turn 1. If we can have a fetch land up, we can get them back before our opponent gets to do anything. Well, this we're going to keep. This hand is interesting, at least. Hopefully, we're not getting got by Archive Traps. But there's not much we can do about it, right? We got to crack our fetches. It's not like we can just choose to not crack our fetch lands. Well, all right, Verdant Catacombs. Catacombs, Crackburn Catacombs. Grab a Overgrown Tomb untapped, and Gravecrawler or Grist? I think we go Gravecrawler. Get on a Gravecrawler. Alright, opponent doesn't mill us, so that's good. No Archive Trap. Scalding Tarn cracks it. Gets a crab. Always with the crabs. Opponent. Water Grave. Ruin Crab. A Fiend Artisan. Well, Marsh Flats. Crack Marsh Flats. Grab a Swamp and run out the White of the Reliquary. And pass the turn. Unfortunately, having 3 toughness is actually really good against our Gravecrawler here. I mean, the good news is if they mill us, it grows our stuff. But wow, opponent's just passing? Wow, the 1 lander. We draw an Urborg, which is kind of nice. So our opponent could have Fatal Push. So I think we just go to combat, attack with the White of the Reliquary. If our opponent blocks, we can sack the Gravecrawler. Opponent's just gonna take it. Do we still sack the Gravecrawler? Yeah, let's do it. Sack the Gravecrawler. Opponent's gonna get rid of the Gravecrawlers. All right, extirpate. Well, at least we don't have one in hand. Colony Garden's a body. Phyrexian Tower's mana. Let's just take Colony Garden. Colony Garden, make a plant. Takes a bead. So we'll play Urborg. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if they got a counter. Grist. Ooh, that's good. Grist, tick down. Get rid of this crab. Sack the plant. And snipe crab number 1. And pass the turd. Okay, things are looking up. Opponent untaps. I'm kind of surprised our opponent kept this hand. Another crab. All right, well, we untap. Besage. Well, take up Grist. Mill Stitcher Supplier. Chthonian Nightmare. Get a little energy. Grist. Go to combat. Get in with the White of the Reliquary. Gonna take the beats. Well, Nightmare. Get back Stitcher Supplier. Sack the insect. Flip the Grist. Mill some cards. Take up the new Grist. Play Besage. And pass the turn. It is a little awkward that we're milling ourselves against the mill deck. Ooh, there's a fetch land. All right. I imagine that's what our opponent was hoping for. Fetch land. And a Relic of Progenitus. Okay. So they do need to leave a mana up if they want to exile everything with the Relic mills us. I mean, they kind of have to just Relic, right? Or else we can Grist it. Passes. We draw Marsh Flats, not especially helpful. Well, step 1, Grist. Blow up the Relic. Opponent taps it. Yeah, you gotta get that tap value. Doesn't do anything, but you gotta do it just because you can. All right, opponent's gonna nuke the graveyards. We get rid of the Relic for now. So now we Grist, tick it down, sack the Stitcher Supplier, blow up crab number 2, mill some cards, Marsh Flats, get back to Bloodghast. Can we win here? Is there any way? 1, 2. How far do we go is the question. Play Nightmare. Oh, we can keep getting back the Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher Supplier, sack the Bloodghast. Mill some cards. Nightmare. Get some energy. Get back the Stitcher Supplier. Sack this. We're going for the White of the Reliquary kill here. That is the goal. 10 power. 11. That should be game, right? That should be game. Oh, Chthonian Nightmare. Looking really good that game. That was pretty impressive. Like, yes. I know our opponent got a little stuck on mana, but they did choose to keep the 1 land all crab hand. So we can't feel too bad for them. But that was a pretty sweet example of kind of like a backup combo. Remember, at the start of this turn, our opponent nuked our graveyard. So we had a 2/2 White of the Reliquary, and thanks to Nightmare and Stitcher Supplier, we were able to get it back up to literally a lethal 1-shot kill threat. And we could have actually milled a bunch more cards here. We still get a Stitcher Supplier. We can still Nightmare another time to get back a Stitcher Supplier. So we actually killed them pretty easily through the Relic nuking our graveyard. That's the power of White of the Reliquary. Sweet. Oy. I mean, I think we have to keep it, right? Like, we have all the payoffs, all the coolest cards in our deck. We just have no way to fill the graveyard. I mean, Surveil Lands. This is the true test of the power of Surveil Lands. If they can surveil us into some creatures in our graveyard, this hand's actually kind of great. Maybe our opponent's just milling. Ooh, Urza Saga. Oh no, are we about to get Nadu'd? Now when I see Urza Saga, I'm like, oh god, Nadu. I don't know if we beat Nadu. Oh, okay, Grief. Pitching Voidwalker, but they don't have... Wait, is this Nadu scam? They don't have black mana, so they can't scam us, right? the good news is the most important cards are the Surveyor lands at the moment, so you can't grief those. Opponent can be down to 3 cards in hand. I guess they do have the Bobble. They take the Chatterfang, which is annoying. That's one that we can't really Soul Cauldron for value. Another Nightmare is not the greatest. Oh, jeez. All right, mill the Chatterfang. I guess we can get it back with the Nightmare eventually. Pass the turn. Taking up the Saga. That was a very aggressive turn 1. Very aggressive. Urza's Saga into Grief pitching Voidwalker, and Voidwalker would have actually been insane against him. Wow. All right, opponent is really on the Urza Saga plan here. It is like, I'm recording this and it's like 100 degrees out. Oh my God, it's so hot. It's so hot. My AC is barely keeping up. Passes. Spymaster's Vault A. Well, let's play Spymaster's Vault, Marionette Apprentice. And the question is, do we servo? Normally we servo. However, if we put a counter on it, automatically works with, I think we still servo. It automatically works with Soul Cauldron, but I think it's still worth it to get the extra body on the battlefield for nightmaring purposes. All right, this hand's a little clunky now. Double Nightmare, double Soul Cauldron. A smidge excessive. Let's see what our opponent's going to be tutoring up here with these sagas. I don't know if I would have kept this hand if I was our opponent. It is a weird hand. So they do get to, oh, they could have made a construct, right? Loses a saga. Getting Graveyard Hate, maybe? Graveyard Hate would be good against us here. I don't know if this is going the way our opponent... What? Mishra's Bobble? Okay. Oh, the clunkiest hand in the history of Magic. Oh, God. We're not going to play Urborg. I'm telling you, we are not playing Urborg. No matter what, we're not playing Urborg. Found it. Makes a construct. We might... Oh, I can't laugh too hard because our hand is actually roughly as clunky as our opponent's hand here. 1, 2, Nightmare. Get some energy. Get back Chatterfang. Our opponent said weird game, and it is. Our opponent has, I told them, it's literally one of the weirdest draws I think I've ever seen, is the draw that our opponent has currently. I assume they're mono black, triple Urza's Saga. We're gonna pass the turn here. Our draw is honestly not much better. Our draw is also incredibly, it started out looking good, but drawing every Nightmare in 2 of the 3 Soul Cauldrons, so strange. What a weird... I mean, that's part of what makes Magic so great, right? You never know when you're gonna have a game like this. Like, our decks are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate the games when you only draw Urza's Sagas? Or when you draw all the Chthonian Nightmares and nowhere to fill your graveyard? Wow, opponent, they're just gonna, okay, give up with the weirdness. That was one of the funniest, I think our opponent got very unlucky. Or, like... Also, maybe they shouldn't have kept that hand. I assume their hand was, they must have had 2 sagas in hand, right? There's no way you keep just 1 land. It must have been 2 sagas. And you're like, oh, I got the grief. My sagas, I'll draw some black mana. And you drew more sagas. One thing we got to be able to answer is Dauthi Voidwalker. That is a concern. So we're probably going to need a little removal because we saw them pitch it to grief. Maybe the Pick Your Poisons or Force of Vigors. Like, how much do we care about the Urza's Sagas? They're probably mono black with the One Ring. These are cards that we're interested in. Oh, Vexing Bobble, probably not on the play or on the draw. Can we fit this many cards in? So we can go down a Carrion Feeder. We can go down 1 Chatterfang. We can trim the Fiend Artisan. We can go down 1 Grist. It's really hard. I find it very difficult to sideboard in more than 4 cards with this deck. There's 4 cards we can like kind of easily take out, and then it gets weird. I mean, I guess we could trim a Soul Cauldron. Gotta be able to kill a Voidwalker. Voidwalker is the card that just beats us. I guess the artifact and enchantment removal may be slightly less important. Like, there's a world where we can win through Urza's Saga. We saw that last game. We can win through 3 Urza's Sagas, apparently. So we can win through Urza's Saga. The One Ring, I guess we could probably win through, maybe. Marionette Apprentice is loss of life to each opponent, so it actually combos through the One Ring if we pull off that combo. Maybe go like 1 Pick Your Poison. Grist is technically removal. I don't really want to cut the Grist. 1 Flare of Malice? Let's try it like that. The deck, because we're kind of combo-y, or at least like a synergy deck, there's just some cards that we can't really take out of the deck. Wow, that's a lot of Soul Traders. Well, I guess this hand is good against getting scammed. Sure, I mean, we'll keep it. Speaking of weird hands, Soul Trader Tron, both of our Spymaster's Vaults. So I guess we can get the Surveil land into well, okay. Swamps all around. I bet they take the Grist. Seems possible that they're going to take the Grist here. I don't know if, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Still worried about a Voidwalker. Well, let's Marsh Flats, pass the turn. Crack it, get a Surveil land. So we're looking for what? Combo pieces, removal. There's this Urza Saga is going to be a little better for our opponent, I think. Urza Saga. Come on, not the Voidwalker. Well, all right, that's fine. We have so many Soul Traders. Feel free. Thoughtseize away. Opponent takes one of our nearly infinite Soul Traders. Well, we're going to crack this Marsh Flats, grab a Underground Mortuary, do a little surveilling. Bloodghast definitely going in the graveyard. We'd like to get that back for free. Gravecrawler. Well, I guess we just play Mortuary, get back the Bloodghast. We're actually kind of close. Ooh, do we keep the Bowmaster? It's really good. Yeah, I think we got to keep it, unfortunately. It's not a combo piece, but I think it's worth keeping. Play the Gravecrawler, pass the turn. That Bloodghast Mill was nice. Opponent. Wow, we're actually kind of close to comboing. We need the payoff, right? That's what we're missing currently. I guess in the future, we can potentially combo and then Spymaster's Vault into the payoff. So opponent passes. Well, we're going to play the Spymaster's Vault. We're going to play a Warren Soultrader. Go to combat, do some attacking. Opponent going to make a 1/1 construct. Well, now I'm definitely imagining they're going to grab some sort of graveyard hate, but we will see. So right now what we could do, Bowmaster would be a blowout, but we have a Bowmaster. Right now what we could do is sack the Gravecrawler a bunch to power up our Spymaster's Vault. Wow, it's just a bobble. Okay, we are super cool with that. Now their opponent's very good at drawing sagas. Opponent, saga. They also like tapping their mana in response to the saga trigger. We can win through the One Ring. It's a Sheoldred. All right, Sheoldred is very good against Spymaster's Vault, unfortunately. Passing. All right, we just gotta draw it naturally. Let's draw it naturally. Overgrown Tomb, that's not it. Go to combat, do some attacking. How greedy are we is the question. Opponent blocks and blocks. Well, we will sack a Gravecrawler, make a treasure. Is it worth conniving is the question, even though we're going to take Sheoldred damage. There are things we can connive into that win us the game. We could also just hit a removal spell for Sheoldred, which would also be wonderful. If we whiff, it's very sad. So we get connive 2 and we'll lose 4. The other option is to wait another turn, which I guess might be better. We can like play the Bowmasters. Yeah, I think we do it. Let's do some conniving. This is going to hurt, but I think it's worth it. We need to discard 3 cards, so we'll discard land, Bowmasters, land. Take a beating, thanks to this Sheoldred. So we can play the Grist, play Marsh Flats, get back the Bloodghast, flip the Grist with the treasure, blow up the Urza Saga, run out the Stitcher Supplier, mill some cards, pass the turn. The Sheoldred is an issue. If we can get rid of the Sheoldred, we're in great shape. There are also cards we could draw, like Marionette Apprentice, that just win us the game. Opponent not cracking the bobble. Opponent, now they're gonna crack the bobble. Kind of weird timing, so not drawing till our turn, but we'll take it. All right, opponent, back up to 14. We will block with the Stitcher's Supplier. What do you think? Was it too greedy to connive last turn? There's just ways we straight up win the game if that goes the way we want it to. Opponent's going to Fatal Push the Soultrader. Awkward, but legal. They know we have another one in hand, right? I'm pretty sure they know. Opponent, getting in with the Sheoldred. Attacking us, while we will block with the Stitcher's Supplier. Oh, there's the Apprentice. Oh, it was the top card. It was the top card. Oh, all right. Well, we untap. Opponent gets to draw a card. They gain some life. Flare would be nice. From Catacombs, that's not as nice. So we get drained down to 8. Take up the Grist. Get a Death Touch Insect. Play the Soultrader. Recast Gravecrawler. Go to combat. Hit you with the Bloodghast. So we can sack and do the Gravecrawler thing. We just don't have a way to win the game from it at the moment. Yeah, let's burn Catacombs. Recast Gravecrawler. Pass the turn. We're a draw away. Oh, if we could get rid of the Sheoldred. The Sheoldred is actually like so insane here. Because part of the combo of the deck, right, is the Spymaster's Vault. We're not just playing this for value. We're playing this to find our combo piece. Once we do the loop, if we don't have the Marionette Apprentice, it gets locked down pretty hard by the Sheoldred though. The Sheoldred is ruining our day. Opponent plays another Goyf. Yup. We drop to 6. Phyrexian Tower. That's not the land we needed. Well, we will take up Grist. We're running out of time here. Take up the Grist. Oh, mill the Flare. Oh, Sheoldred, you jerk. We can attack a bunch, but it doesn't really do anything. I mean, I guess we do it because we're not doing anything else. So do a bunch of attacking. So we need Chthonian Nightmare. Oh, even that, like, I think it's too late now. I don't think we can win before we die. We gotta draw. We're gonna have to win fairly if we win. Well, Sheoldred confirmed good. Get back a Gravecrawler. Get back a Gravecrawler. Untaps. Gains life. Another land. Now the one, Grief. Okay, Grief doesn't really do anything. Sure. It's just a Phyrexian Tower. Although Grief actually does protect against a Flare, which is a problem. Yeah, we're running out of time here because of the Sheoldred. Down to 4. Stitcher Supplier. I don't think that really does anything. So, well, take up the Grist. Mill. Oh, the Grist. The Grist would have done it too. We keep milling our removal spells and drawing lands. It's so awkward. Mill. There's the Nightmare. That gets milled too. Attack with everything. It's all coming back anyway, so there's no real reason not to do it. We're just not making any headway. It's kind of not really getting us anywhere about it. Blocks. The Spymaster's Vault sitting there mocking us in the face of the Sheoldred. Get back a Gravecrawler. Get back a Gravecrawler. Untaps. So we have one draw step. Makes us discard the Phyrexian Tower. Yeah, I guess we should have just played it. All right. Well, can we kill the Sheoldred? That is the entire game. All comes down to this. Fatal Push, Chthonian Nightmare. Not a Gravecrawler. All right. Yep. That was literally just Sheoldred winning the game. Straight up Sheoldred win. All right. We're going to bring another Flare of Malice. If they beat us with an artifact, we'll accept it. Run it like that. We can't lose to Sheoldred again. We can't let that happen. We had the full combo set. We just couldn't get past the Sheoldred. Sheoldred, the unbeatable. I mean, that's kind of what Sheoldred does, right? Like, if you don't kill it, it is going to kill you eventually, like sooner or later. And it does stop you from drawing cards to find an answer to it, which is also awkward. I mean, I guess we'll keep this, although this hand is only okay, I would say. I like that we have a removal spell for once. Well, that's just Mortuary. Definitely keeping Soultrader past the turn. Oh, come on, let's not get scammed. We've managed to not get scammed so far this match, but I feel like we're about due. Unlikely to go through an entire match without getting scammed by the scam deck. Pound it. Bobble. And cracks the Bobble. Takes a peek at the top card of their deck. Oh boy, cracks the fetch land. Gets a swamp. Okay. Well, we're not getting scammed at least. Like, yes, this is awkward. Yes, it hurts. But we're not getting scammed. Takes a Soul Cauldron, sadly. We did kind of want that. And passes, draws a card. Well, we'll play the Phyrexian Tower. So we can flash in the Bowmasters at some point. Opponent. There's the Urza Saga. Do we even flash in the Bowmasters? We don't really want to be the first one to Bowmaster. We'll just untap. We don't want to Bowmaster into their Bowmaster. That's the worst. Well, let's play an Overgrown Tomb untapped. Run out the Soultrader. Pass the turn. All right, there's the Bowmaster. So we managed to play around it, which is nice. Pings our face. So now at least our Bowmaster can snipe their Bowmaster, assuming we don't get hit by more discard here. Flare of Malice sacking the Bowmaster. All right, well, opponent had to spend a few cards, but they got through our first Soultrader. Takes up the Urza Saga. I don't know about Urza Saga in our opponent's deck. Every time, it's just gotten a bobble. And I don't know if that's that good if you're just getting a bobble with it. About it. Oh boy, they are a very discard-heavy deck, aren't they? Takes the Bowmaster. Gets in with the Orc. Well, we kind of need to draw something here. Down to 16. Pound it, passes. So much discard. Ugh, even more lands. Well, we'll play the Marsh Flats, pass the turn. Untaps. Gonna make a 1/1. All right, makes a construct. It really is Mishra's Bobble. If you're just getting a Mishra's Bobble, is it actually worth it? I don't know if it's worth it to go down a land. I mean, I guess I got a construct out of it this time, but pound it. We can Fatal Push the construct, but we don't really want to. Well, let's crack this. Get our other Surveillant land. See if we can actually find a relevant magic card here. Mortuary. White of the Reliquary. Yeah, I mean, I think we put it on top. Play the Spymaster's Vault. Yeah. All right, let's run it out. Run out the white of the Reliquary. It is a 4/4, which is something. Dies to Fatal Push, which is less of something. We really need to keep a creature on the battlefield so we can do some conniving with this vault when things die. Opponents kind of like mono black control, aren't they? Are we cracking baubles? Shrinking constructs? Looks like opponent. Gonna crack a bauble. Gonna save the other one. Interesting. All right, gets to draw a couple cards. I mean, the white is big enough to hold back the construct at least for the time being. Even more removal. Anoint with Affliction. Well, that's not good for us. Yeah. Well, I think we gotta keep waiting. We need to be able to connive at some point if we keep whiffing. Opponent gonna hit us for 3, down to 11. What an awkward draw. Yeah, I mean, this is a deck where we need to be able to keep multiple pieces on the battlefield, and we just haven't been able to do that. We haven't been able to keep one piece on the battlefield between all the Thought Seizes and removal spells. Opponent, MDFZ. We draw action. Stitcher Supplier. I mean, that is better than nothing. Well, let's play the Colony Garden. Make a plant token. Play the Stitcher Supplier. Oh, we should have done this on the other order because of Bloodghast. Oops. Yeah, we should have played the land second, just in case we mill a Bloodghast. Which we don't, but we do it a Gravecrawler. Well, get back the Gravecrawler. And pass the turn. So we do get to start conniving finally, or attempting to. Although, this Fatal Push, can we even afford to get rid of it? Opponent goes to combat, attacks with both. Block the dork, and see what our opponent does. Passing. Well, okay. I'm gonna crack the bauble. Well, let's do some conniving on the Stitcher Supplier. Discard the swamp, definitely don't want that. Opponent gets a peek. We untap. Come on, deck. How about a Nightmare? Oh, even more swamps. Hit you for 2. Phyrexian Tower. Sack the Gravecrawler. Recast it from the graveyard. Connive on the Stitcher Supplier. Discard a swamp. Play another Stitcher Supplier. Play another Gravecrawler. And we milled a Bloodghast, which could be relevant in the future if we keep hitting lands past the turn. Swings with both. Well, we will trade a Stitcher Supplier with the Construct. Mill some cards. Drop to 9. Oh boy, that's Bloodghast for days. And we milled a Nightmare that we didn't really want to mill. Opponent. Damnation. So this actually is like mono black control, but we mill some cards. Oh, another Nightmare down. This is a really big draw step. Opponent plays another Urza Saga. Taps and response. They love tapping in response. And a Dauthi Voidwalker. Well, that we just need to kill. Untap. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Flare of Malice. All right, well, pass the turn. Oh, our graveyard is so juicy if we can ever use it. Opponent. I mean, the Flare could end up being good at some point. Opponent passes. Overgrown Tomb. Well, play the Overgrown Tomb tapped. Get back triple Bloodghast. Pass the turn. Do we need to flare the Urza Saga token? Makes the construct. Flare Malice. Well, pass the turn. That makes me a little nervous. Opponent untaps. Would like to Spymaster's Vault, but if they have a Bowmasters, that's an issue. Opponent. Mishra's Bauble? Always the Bauble. I think that's the only possible hit in their deck, because it has literally been every time. Opponent. Legend rules. Oh no, is this going to be Shieldred? Are we going to get punished? Are we going to get punished for casting the Flare? Our opponent's going to cast a Flare. Oh, that's kind of fine. We will sack a Bloodghast. I think we actually connive just to grow the Bloodghast. Maybe. Watch us discard something we really want. Well, Fatal Push would have been okay, but we grow the Bloodghast. We untap. Zombie. Nightmare. Ooh, Bowmasters. Well, go to combat, do some attacking. Bowmasters is something. That's better than drawing nothing. Opponent takes it. 10 is also a big number because 10 means our opponent, it means our Bloodghasts are going to be hasty. Are they going to crack the bauble? Oh, they are. That's actually kind of huge. Opponent cracks the bauble. This means the Bowmasters might do some work. I think we actually just flash it in now. Flash in the Bowmasters. Snipe the construct. An opponent scoops it up, and we had to grind through the control, but we got there, and maybe this deck's kind of good. Ooh, we're gonna actually draw a zombie. Actually, no, we probably would have connived into the graveyard and drawn all lands. That was a grindy game, but in the end, we got there. Kind of going for the 4-1 with the deck. It's actually sort of working better than I would have thought. I don't know if we're just running well, or Ooh, can we keep this? We only have a single land, which is the problem. 3 1-drops, 2 white of the reliquaries. I think it might be 1 land, 1 keep. Maybe. 2 lands this hand would be nice. So what happens if we don't draw? We are on the draw, which helps. What is our game plan if we don't hit a land? We're going turn 1, Stitcher Supply. Actually, you know what? Let's calculate this. We can mathematically know if this is the right choice. So we have, let's see, there are 53 cards left in our deck. 21 of them are lands. We get 1 draw. We need 1 hit. Odds of drawing a land next turn, 39%. But really, we get 2 draws because we're on the draw. 64%? That's looking pretty good. 3 draws, 78. You know what? I think the math clearly says we should keep this 1-lander. Opponent, Wooded Foothills, and passes. Land, math, Bloodghast. Okay. Let's just Gravecrawler. It can attack for more damage. Play the Gravecrawler, pass the turn. The land's coming off the top, right? The land's actually, what's the odds now? 52, 21, 1. Oh, down to 40%. Okay, we might have been a little betrayed by the math. 64%. That means usually, always. It means always. It's literally a guarantee. That's how percentages work, right? 64% of the time it works every time. Bobble cracks the bobble. Opponent, is that a land? I'm gonna ask. Is it a land on top? No. Math. Stitcher Supplier. Wow. 2 Soultraders and a Knight. Wait, where's all of our lands? Well, that might be good though, because we just milled. Now there's only 48 cards left in our deck. What are our odds? Ooh, 43. We got 3 whole percentage points out of that. Okay, we're doing it. Opponent says at least we're having the same issue. Apparently they're also not hitting their land drops. Opponent, Inti. That's going to be an issue. If we don't draw land this turn, we're really in trouble. Good thing we played the Stitcher Supplier though. As much as we want Soultraders and, oh no, Ovaltine Daredevil. See, opponent's not going to have any trouble hitting their lands because they got ways to find their lands and a trampling Nethergoyf. Now I don't even know, is a land even enough? Land. Technically. So one thing we didn't put into our calculations wow, that's a bunch more non-lands. Holy moly, there's not a lot of lands on the top of our deck. Well, we'll run out a bunch of stuff. We'll get in with the Gravecrawler. Send a strong message about 2 damage. One thing we didn't consider with the math is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lands that don't make green mana. So really, considering we need green mana, oh no, did I just close the hypergeometric calculator? Considering we need green mana, it's actually only 15 hits. Oh, 31%? Oh, see, I never would have kept. What about in 2? Oh yeah, the math says that's wrong. Okay, so our data input was flawed. That was the problem. It's not that our keep was bad. It's that we just put the wrong data into it. Oh god, opponent. Underworld Cookbook to go with the Ovaltine Daredevil and their Dragon Ray Shanala. Sure, opponent. Do some discarding. Yep. Trigger their Inti. Look at that synergy. Ragavan and a food. Oh, 1 land, 1 keep. Who came up with that rule? I think it was one of you, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have come up with something like that on my own. It has to be the evil influence of the YouTube comments. Which one of you is to blame for me keeping this 1-lander? Opponent hits us. Dead. Wow, opponent hits the land. Okay, Stomping Grounds, and they can play the Ragavan. I think we're just dead this game. Honestly, if it makes us feel any better, and maybe this is just a little coping, I'm not sure we're going to beat this draw, even if we did hit our land. Trampling Nethergoyf. Oh, and an Asmore. My god. Okay, that is a really good hand. Well, this might be a tough matchup. Gravecrawler. All right, good enough. Well, we learned one important thing in this match, and that's that math is a lie. If you take one thing away from this, it's that math just it doesn't exist. It doesn't work. Fatal Push is in, Surgical's in. Voidwalker's actually probably in to shut down the graveyard. Maybe Flare of Malice? Those are the cards I think we're most interested in. I guess Vexing Bauble does shut down Asmore, but I don't know if that's worth it. Fiend Artisan. Shatterfang. Grist actually blowing up artifacts seems good. Carrion Feeder. Maybe like a Soul Cauldron? Actually, Soul Cauldron's also graveyard. Hey, we can't cut the Soul Cauldron. Maybe we go down a Grist and a... Oh boy. Go down a grist. How do we get these cards in our deck? Maybe Flare's not that good? Yeah, maybe we don't Flare. Don't feel like we can cut any of these cards. I will say sideboarding is by far the hardest part of this deck. And it's like a combo deck with some tricky lines, but good lord is sideboarding tough. I feel like there's a bunch of cards we need, but just not enough room with all of our combo pieces. Do we cut Nightmares? Cutting Nightmares would make the combo so much worse. Bloodghast kind of necessary. Maybe Voidwalker's not? Wow, it seems so good though. All right, we'll go down one grist, a Bloodghast, and a Bloodghast. Let's try it like that. I don't really like cutting the Bloodghast, but I feel like we gotta. All right, we get to play first. Well, 2 lands. We will keep this. This is acceptable. Marsh Flats. Crack the Marsh Flats. Grab a Overgrown Tube, untapped, and Stitcher's Supplier. Mill us some goodies. Hey, there's a Gravecrawler, and unfortunately a Nightmare, but opponent Mishra's Bobble. Question's going to be, do we slam the Voidwalker or do we play the White of the Reliquary? Voidwalker is at its best early, but White of the Reliquary is so much value. Go to combat, get in with the Stitcher's Supplier. Hit ya. Play Urborg. I think we're going to White of the Reliquary. I think we got to save the Voidwalker. I think we got to bait with White of the Reliquary, and then if it gets Fatal pushed, maybe we get to stick the Voidwalker next turn. That's the hope. Plus we have a backup White, so if it does get killed, it's not the absolute end of the world. Opponent grabs it. Oh, is it going to get bolted? That's kind of brutal. All right, that's a painful way to lose it, but I guess we would have lost the Voidwalker anyway. One more creature in the graveyard, though, and that wouldn't have worked. Opponent. Still 7 cards in hand. There's an Urza Saga. Amped Raptor. Spin it to win it into a Soul Guide Lantern, which is actually pretty good here. Well, there goes our Gravecrawler. Yeah, that's annoying. Opponent passes. We draw. Overgrown Tomb. I think we got to play the Voidwalker now. Play the Voidwalker. Overgrown Tomb tapped. Yeah, Soul Guide Lantern is kind of a problem. Gonna make it hard to combo off until that's gone. Opponent taking up the Saga. Voidwalker does shut down some of their shenanigans at least. We will take it. I guess we just gotta try to race. Opponent Blood Crypt. Cookbook. Discards another Cookbook? It's supposed to mean they have Asmore. Yeah. Well, that's not great. Gonna get another Cookbook, because then Asmore can just start shooting down all of our stuff. Another Cookbook. Nethergoyf. Oh, Marionette Apprentice. We were so close, but we don't have a removal spell for Asmore. So we actually did hit a Cookbook. That's not the best hit with this Voidwalker. This Asmore is just going to start shooting down everything. Yeah, maybe Voidwalker is not good enough. Well, we get him with a Voidwalker because nothing else it can really do. No sense in playing a Cookbook. Well, opponent down to 13. Soultrader. Not feeling good about it, but it's what we got to do. Yeah, Asmar's one of those cards that kind of locks you. Kind of locks you with the repeatable removal if you can't get it off the battlefield. Well, they probably don't have any Cookbooks left. 1, 2, 1 in exile, 3. Pound it, because there's 1 in hand too. I mean, maybe they're playing all 4. Pound it. Urza Saga floats some mana. Grabs. Oh, come on now. Pithy Needle on Soultrader. Yeah, this is not going. This one is not going well at all. Not even a little. Oh, I blame that 1 land keep. I blame the math. Opponent kills a Voidwalker, has another Lightning Bolt. And also a Shadow Sphere. Well, we know our opponent's entire hand is on the battlefield. Last card is another Underworld Cookbook that they're about to discard to make food to kill our stuff with Asmore. Yup. Well, Soultrader down. I mean, we take it. There's not much we can do. Down to 7. Well, let's play a Stitcher's Supplier. You might be thinking, oh, this Way to the Reliquary is going to be good, but really it's not because they have the Graveyard Hate too. Amped Raptor was actually very good for our opponent this game. That card's so good. But they have the Soul Guide Lantern, so even though the White of the Reliquary looks like an 8/8, really it's not. And look, this is actually a good game showing how powerful Nethergoyf is. Like, we had a Voidwalker to exile some of the stuff in the graveyard, and it's still a 3/4 for what? It's still a 3/4. The card's really good. The card's really good. Yeah, it's only your graveyard and blah, 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 blah. It's so good. I mean, I don't know, it's not like Ragavan or something, but this card I think is a very, very modern playable card. And I think this game shows it. Like, it's not like you need a huge ton of, good and dredge style thing. I remember when Tarmogoyf was first spoiled, that was one of the comments people had, like, oh, maybe in a dredge deck it'll be okay. It's way better than that. And I think Nethergoyf is proving that a Goyf for your own graveyard that's only 1 mana is actually a pretty good modern card. Equips on the Goyf. So we block, but then they just sack the Soul Guide Lantern, right? That's how this works. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna take it. None of this is, I don't think it really matters what we do, honestly. I think either way, the end result is going to be our death in one more turn. I don't know what we can draw here. Not a swamp. Especially with Soultrader shut down, there's not a lot of options. So we can sack something to get a land. That doesn't really do anything. Well, let's, Gravecrawler from the graveyard. Yeah. I'm not even sure what we're hoping to do here. Play a Marionette Apprentice, make a servo. Play the swamp, and I mean, we're going to go attacking. I think we get blown out, but we're going to go attacking. Get in with the white or the reliquary. It does have vigilance, so we might as well. So if our opponent sacks a Soul Guide Lantern, we can use the white to sack a Stitcher Supplier and try to mill something into the graveyard. Hey, Cease, how are you? Come here, Cease. Come say hi to people. Say hi. There you go. Say hello. They want to see you. What are you doing, cat? What are you doing? What are you doing, you cat? Oh, don't scratch. Don't scratch. There you go. You can get down. There, you did your duty. You said hello. All right, so opponent just going to let it go. That's kind of fine. Well played, opponent. That is literally the perfect way to play it. They wait till the first strike damage is on it and then nuke the graveyard, and now we're dead. Yeah, that's a tough spot. I don't know if that's a bad matchup. It felt like a bad matchup. Either way, though, we finished with a 3-2, which for playing a wacky, janky brew, not bad. That means we get to crack a treasure chest. Sometimes it only takes one. Sometimes that's all it takes. 101. Spin it to win it. Can we get something valuable? How about okay. Okay, I mean, not really valuable, but very flavorful. We get the 3-2 with Chthonian Nightmare, and we open a fancy Chthonian Nightmare. The deck is pretty sweet. The deck, I don't know if it's like tier 1 sweet, but I feel like some version of this deck definitely has the potential to see play in Modern. It's going to be really interesting. I guess let's just do a little wrap up right here while we're looking at the deck list. I'm very interested to see how this archetype evolves, because there's a few different directions you can go, right? So this is pretty much a combo deck where we're trying to set up, the Chatterfang, Soultrader, Marionette Apprentice. One thing I wonder about is this build straddling the line too much? Like, we have some stuff that's very combo-y, but we only have 2 Marionette Apprentice. We had some games where we're like, if only we could draw the Marionette Apprentice, like we can combo off right now, but we only have 2 of them, so we don't always find them. So there's some like weirdness there, I would say, with like how much do you focus on the combo? We saw during sideboarding, it's going to be tough to find room in this deck with all the combo pieces. We're already like kind of skimping on removal. Do you need all the soul cauldrons? Like, what's the right mixture? It is a really, really tricky deck to build. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I feel like we're a week or 2 into Modern Horizons 3. There's excuse me, there's still a lot of evolutions that can happen to this deck. This feels like an early build of something that has a lot of potential. The other thing I would say is there's a bunch of directions you could go, right? We have this White of the Reliquary Bloodghast combo where we can keep tutoring lands out of our deck if we have both of them. We saw some of the cool shenanigans with like Spymaster's Vault or whatever. Phyrexian Tower is pretty good. Could we more embrace the ability to tutor out non-basic lands? Should we be playing Bajuka Bog? What other non-basics could we be playing to find with this combo? So I think this deck, I really like it. Yes, it's reliant on the graveyard. Yes, to actually go infinite, we need like 3-ish pieces, really, depending on the exact setup. So those things, I think, mean it's not going to be, the next Recto Scam or whatever the format breaking deck is. But I do think the deck can be competitive, and it's really cool and interesting and fun to play. You get to do a lot of tricky lines, got a lot of sweet synergies. So if you like aristocrat-y style sacrifice graveyardy combo decks that can do a lot of cool things, I think that this deck it's fun enough and competitive enough that you could definitely take it to like an FNM, run it through a league on Magic Online, and have some success with it. Are you going to 5-0? Are you going to win the FNM? You could, but I don't think you necessarily, it's not a guarantee by any stretch, but you could. But I think you'll definitely go in, it'll represent itself well at least. So anyway, that is Warren Soultrader, Chthonian Nightmare, Wombo Combo for Modern. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.